Evening, folks. Thanks very much for coming in. We hope you're all safe and well. You're all very welcome. Welcome to Paranormal History's interview with Maria Olsen and Jeff Hatch from the CRA film The Crumbs. They kindly gave us some of their time to come in and have a wee chat with us tonight. So if you want to pop any questions in the chat, feel free. Nothing too personal, mind, strictly professional stuff, as we always say. So, Maria and Jeff, thanks very much for coming in to say hello to us. Congratulations on The Crumbs. Absolutely brilliant movie. I've watched it 4 times.
Thank you. Wow.
The both of your characters are just, mesmerising, for want of a better word.
Wow. Thank you.
So the rest of the cast, but no, absolutely. I think a Crumbs 2 should be on the schedule, but that's just my point of view, particularly the line, "Have you got a reservation?" That line sticks with me. I'm not going to give too much away, obviously, but just, that, "Have you got a reservation?" Then, that was it, time up, basically.
Tony Slater saying that he loved the film.
Tony Slater saying he loved. Thanks very much, Tony.
Thank you, Tony.
Thanks very much, Tony.
So, Maria,
we had a great time making it.
Gillian Daniels is in. A lot of whiskey was consumed as well, I believe.
Yes, but I do remember that being only on the last night after we wrapped.
So, well deserved, though, wasn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I don't really remember walking back to my cabin that night, but that's fine.
They're the best nights.
That was only on the last night. I was pretty well, evenly medicated throughout.
Dr. Benjamin, that would explain so much.
Medicinal purposes.
Well, the little flask that Dr. Benjamin takes out occasionally throughout the movie, and grabs a little. That was an actual practical prop. I had that. I didn't put water or tea in that thing. No.
It wasn't empty, is what you're trying to say. It wasn't empty.
Well, it was empty by the end of each take, but it was it was the real stuff. Sorry, I'm adjusting.
So that's why in some of the scenes you looked a wee bit fuzzy.
I was staying in character. I was staying in character.
I thought you were just tired, but obviously there's another reason for it. But Maria, you've had quite a career up to date, from South Africa originally.
Yes, I am. And I've been lucky to be able to work a lot in indie film. Yeah.
You've done, over 100 movies, TV as well. You always seem to play the kind of bad woman.
That sort of was on purpose, because when I was starting out and I used to watch my audition tapes and the tapes of things that I had booked, I realized that I was very intense on screen. And then I was like, oh, so I give up an intense persona on screen. That's fine. I'll look for the intense roles and I'll audition for those, thinking that that'll be a good fit for me. And, well, it was. So, yay.
I know it was, because you've been this evil headmistress. You jumped off a scaffold in one film as well. A school teacher, you jumped off a scaffold, I do believe.
I did, yes. That was Percy Jackson and the Olympians, the Lightning Thief. I had to go up to Vancouver then for a day being trained on how to actually jump off the scaffolding. They put me up on like an 8-foot high scaffolding and taught me how to jump with a harness and everything. And then when I got up there to shoot, they had me up on a 25-foot scaffolding. And I was like, wait, what the hell is this? But, when the director says action, you jump. So, yeah. And we did that quite a few times. And it was like, action, okay, fine, grr, jump, no choice. Just that's what you have to do.
Do you think there'll ever be a day where you'll want to play a kind of goody role,
Oh, absolutely. In the film Disorientation, I play a college teacher. That's a normal, good role. There have definitely been features that I have played good characters in. It's just in the minority because I gravitate towards the more complex villain type characters that I play a lot more of them.
Mm. So you've always played the kind of bad. Most of the time, you played the bad characters. You were in one of the versions of I Spit in Your Grave, which was quite a back in the day. It was quite an intense film.
It sure is.
Um, how how did you feel playing that kind of part in a kind of film like that? I think everybody knows the general storyline of the original film and what have you.
Well, my character has a very, very specific point of view, and that was the facts that were being told to her and everybody else were wrong, and I believed the reason why I thought they were wrong, and my version of events, which I believed 100%, made my husband out to be not the bad guy that everyone else thought he was. So, literally, in my world, my husband had been murdered, and my children had been left without a father, and I had been left without a husband. And in my world, getting revenge for something like that was absolutely right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the mindset you have to have when playing a character like that. You have to find out why she does what she does, why she thinks what she does is right,
Mm-hmm.
and justify it in terms that other people can understand. And that's how I approach the character of Becky. You know, there was funny enough, there was this one Simon and Garfunkel song, "Flowers Never Bend," that really stood out to me as representative of the character of Becky. And if anyone wants more insight, listen to that song. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, to me, she was a hero. I'm not saying as Maria what she did was right. I'm saying I played her as a hero who stands up against what she thinks is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. No,
Yeah.
that's I was worried because I've seen the film, before, and I know it's quite an intense storyline and what have you, the whole kind of nature of the film. So I
Yeah.
was kind of, I was wondering about that. So thanks for that, Jeff. Coming to you, San Diego, I believe you're from, native of San Diego, is that
Yeah,
right? You studied
that
at
is
the
correct.
LA College.
I did.
You did,
I
you
did.
did.
Grew up. Yeah, I grew up in San Diego, which is it's a great place to be from. It's a great place to visit. But I didn't find it was the place for me to stay. And I grew up in a very sleepy bedroom town, very uh, middle class, middle America, Middle Earth, hobbits running around and such. No, just kidding. But it was a great upbringing. My mother was a high school teacher, and she was actually the director of my senior class play. So she kind of got me into the whole acting life, and she always encouraged it. So I got into it early on in high school, and yeah, I never looked back. I've always wanted to be an actor. I mean, I haven't pursued it as a career for most of my life. I've really only dabbled in it, but it's something that I just always wanted to do, always wanted to be part of. So here I am.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Before we carry on, Andy Murphy's got a question for you. I'll just pop it up now. He asked that a few minutes ago. What goes through your minds when you first read a script for a film like this for the Crumbs?
What goes through our mind when we first read it?
Yep. When you first saw the script for the film The Crumbs.
Do you want to take that first, Jeff?
When I first read the script for The Crumbs, it was an interesting. I didn't have a great first impression on the script because I didn't understand. It was written in a way that I was not used to. I was used to a pretty standard type of writing in script writing. This script was written in a very loose way. The story didn't really jump off the page to me, and the characters didn't really jump off the page to me. It really became more interesting and easier to understand the characters and their motivations as we started to rehearse, and once we got on set and really started taking notes from the director and understanding his vision, because for whatever reason it just didn't jump off the page to me like it normally does with a lot of scripts that I've read. I can see it in my head, shot for shot, what it is that the director is going for. And in this script, that wasn't the case. And I think mainly because there weren't a lot of directions, like between the lines of dialogue. You didn't have a lot of directions that say, Dr. Crumb, pauses intently and stares at her breasts or anything like that. You didn't have any in between the dialogue. You didn't have the lines of direction that are telling you what the director is seeing in his mind's eye. It was just the dialogue that was written out in the script for the most part. There were a few, here and there, minor directions for the actors to kind of understand what was happening in the shot. But the script was pretty just bare bones. And so it took a minute for me to really understand what the director was going after for the story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'd like to.
Sorry, go ahead, Jeff.
No, yeah, I was actually going to ask Maria to take a stab at that too.
Yeah, as Jeff probably knows, I have a very different approach to scripts or stories. And thank you, Andy, for the question. If I read something and I can connect with it emotionally, then I want to play the role. If I cannot connect to a character emotionally, then I'm like, why am I doing this? And I don't understand it, and I don't get into it, and I just don't do it a lot of the time. But when I read the script and I read the role of Irene, there were some very, very interesting emotional subtleties and overtones to the character and contradictions almost. The way she treats, I'm not going to mention specifics, the way she treats one of the potential victims differently from others. Like, why did she do that? And to me, that would be interesting to find out why and to work it into my understanding of her and how she operates in the world and with other people. And that's the sort of thing that attracts me to scripts. Mm-hmm. So when I read that, that is what made me enthusiastic and excited about the project, to try and find out what makes her tick emotionally and to make the emotional transitions and shifts psychologically work for me, because that's how I work. Very emotion driven. Yeah. Rather than practical. And I remember actually we also had a Facebook group, the four of us. And I remember in the beginning when we used to write about what we thought about the scenes and the story, and that my emotional thrust would bump heads with Jeff's very practical thrust.
Right.
As in, Jeff is like, yes, we must do full backstories. And in 1882, this happened. And in 1876, this happened. And I'm like, whatever. I don't care. I am feeling like that because of that. And here's my song. So, but it worked. It all worked out in the end. And we were just absolutely fine. It was interesting to see the two different approaches, though.
I do take a much more methodical and technical approach to what I do. I think I'm much more interested and aware of the just technically what I'm doing on camera and how it's coming across. Although I understand perfectly Maria's approach, and I'm sure she understands mine, but it's just a very different way of approaching the craft. I think I consider myself as an actor. I consider myself more of a craftsman than an artist. I consider Maria more of an artist than myself, and like you said, different approach, different strokes for different folks. Though.
Exactly. That's a really, really great way of describing the difference, actually. Because if I can get myself into the correct emotional headspace by remembering, and I did this when I was a lot younger, my second or third or fourth film or something, I played a woman who thought she was Marie Antoinette. And because of that, she had been put in an institution. But to get into the headspace of the woman who thought she was Marie Antoinette, I had a very specific visual of her as Marie Antoinette, remembering her son putting on his blue braided coat and putting his arms through the sleeves of the coat. And that emotional trigger got me there. And I'm like, I don't care what my motivation is in the scene, where I came from, where my character's going, what my prop is. I don't care. If I can get that picture in my head and it triggers the emotion that I need, I'm golden. And then the camera will see that on my face. As long as I am genuinely there, it'll pick it up. That's craftsman versus artist. There we go.
Jeff, you in the film, and I've noticed the last couple of minutes you've done it a few times. You tend to raise your right eyebrow. I know she did that a lot in the film. Just as Maria did. Is that something you develop for the film, or is it just a natural thing you do? Because I've noticed that a couple of times while we've been talking, you've done it.
This eyebrow doesn't want to stay here. It just doesn't want to stay there. If I'm listening to somebody, it just goes up on its own. It's my wife looks at my photographs whenever we take a selfie, or if somebody is taking a group photo, and she's always like, put your eyebrow down, get relax your face, because I do have this sort of habitual expression, this Mr. Spock thing. That I tend to do with and that's
the first time I noticed in the film,
get some Botox injections here and just get that thing under control.
Sellotape or something. The first time I noticed in the films, I was a scene outside and it was time for lunch or time for dinner or something, and I saw the eyebrow. I noticed the eyebrow getting up and what have you. But see, the movie The Crumbs, absolutely brilliant. The thing I liked about it is because it was different from all your other kind of normal films along those lines. I'm trying to watch what I say because probably nobody's watched it. As it showed, the film showed the killers as a family unit, and they were, just putting aside what they did, they were a normal family with their own traits, their own habits, Chelsea as well, right. Anton. And I thought that was really, really an unusual, storyline, really interesting storyline, because you don't very often see that, I see, Maria, you play the mother, and I think one of your favourite lines is, do you have a reservation? And then you got a rough idea of what is going on. And Jeff, yours one was prepare them for the procedure or something like that, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Phil, I'm not
I
giving
agree
any.
with you that, no, I love the observation because I thought that that's what made this such a unique film for this genre. I mean, we've seen other films in which you kind of get into the normal family life of people who are really otherwise despicable. I mean, if you look at the show, The Sopranos, you're watching the normal everyday family life of people who make their living and do pretty horrible things and in horrible ways, but then you get to know them as people. So you kind of, even though Tony Soprano is calling hits on individuals, you're still kind of rooting for him to get away with it and evade the law and whatnot. And the same thing with like Breaking Bad, where you're watching Walter White, slowly turn into this drug kingpin over 5 seasons, and he becomes this awful, despicable human being, and he's just committing atrocity after atrocity. But there's always a reason for it, and there's always a primary motivation in his heart of love for his family and doing what he has to do for his family. And what this film does is take that kind of story where we're examining the life of really awful, bad, despicable people, but we're making them sympathetic, and it's in a genre of horror. And I don't think we've really seen a lot of that type of story in the horror genre, where you're really kind of learning to love and respect and root for the bad guy. Most horror, you're actively rooting against the boogeyman,
Right.
and we're the boogeymen, and we're the ones that the audience is sympathizing with, which I think is a pretty brilliant and unique spin on the genre.
That's actually what I liked about the film. Actually, but it's a horror film, you actually touched on the feelings and emotions of the actual characters, and not only that, but there's a lot of different subjects, topics throughout that movie, which I don't want to give away too much, obviously, but the different subjects that the film touched on, I don't want to say too much, but
Right.
how much you were able to act properly and sensitively to all the different topics as well. Like you mentioned earlier on about that one certain character, Maria. You mentioned about that one character and how you had to change your style of person in the movie to be sensitive towards the subject that that person was talking about, pretty much. And investing in each different characters, because all the characters have got their own character, pretty much, obviously, so that's what I'm trying to say, and how you've managed to portray them individually, which I really liked that, and it did tell the story, and it made us invest in the characters as we watched it.
Yeah, I think the attraction, shall we say, is that they're real people and a real family, and they have real normal family dynamics and interactions, despite the fact that they're as dysfunctional as hell, So people find themselves going, yeah, I can see exactly why mom is not letting her daughter go on the internet or something. I'm totally down with that, So people see themselves in the characters, and then they see the characters doing these god awful things, and they go, but wait, I'm sympathizing with them, and now I hate them. What's going on here? And it creates an interest something more than just blindly watching something like The Hills of
Yeah.
Eyes, where the cannibal family is so obviously dysfunctional and so out of your daily life that you cannot identify with them at all. So it creates that interesting mindset almost. And that, I think, is why a lot of people are taken to the Crumbs.
I think as well, it makes you appreciate the indie movie industry. I mean, the blockbusters there of kind of popularity and stuff like that, you know. So everybody watches blockbusters and the big movies, but watching the Crumbs really made me appreciate the work that you guys do to make the characters shine, pretty much.
Thank you.
And the work that goes in behind the scenes as well.
Oh my goodness, yeah, so much goes on behind the scenes sometimes, yeah.
I bet.
Yes, it's like just one thing was, okay, we had my hair done for that scene in that way, but wait, we're shooting it again, and the person who did my hair is not here, so we can't do it again, and we won't have continuity, and we can drive ourselves insane, you know? Yeah.
And a lot of budget constrictions. A lot of the difficulties behind the scenes was due to things like budget constrictions, which kept our hair and makeup person from being consistent day to day. We had to use different people. Our main hair and makeup guy was the main hair and makeup guy throughout, but he had different assistants working with him on different days. And same with wardrobe and all of that. We pretty much had to keep a really sharp eye on our own continuity for our characters. I had a notebook filled out with notes because there were so many scene changes. There were so many costume changes. So I had to make sure throughout the film which day of the story we were shooting, and what time of day is it, and what came before this day, what was I wearing then, what am I wearing now, and it was a fun little jigsaw puzzle that we had to keep all of the pieces straight throughout the entire shooting process because normally there's a script supervisor and a wardrobe supervisor that are keeping on top of all of that. And I mean, we had a wardrobe supervisor, but she was one person in a cast of dozens, and she had a job enough just keeping up with, keeping everybody's wardrobe, straight and clean, and making sure everybody was wearing what they needed to be wearing. But we were the ones that were responsible for, remembering, oh wait, I wasn't wearing the gray shirt on this day until later on. I put the gray shirt on. Right now I'm in the white shirt. And, so it was, those little technical things can be a little bit problematic. But I think we kept it all pretty straight. And it's really, a lot of the times the audience isn't even going to notice very much of that stuff unless you really mess it up. My character especially had very similar wardrobe style throughout the entire movie. My character was wearing just different variations on the same outfit. I had button-down shirts and vests and jackets and suits. So I would have a brown suit in one scene, a gray suit in another scene, and I don't think that very many audience members might have noticed the difference if we had messed up the continuity and I walked out with the charcoal gray vest in this scene, but on the other scene I had the light vest all of a sudden. But it was a little bit of a challenge.
Yeah.
couple of questions from the chat for you. Andy Murphy again. Characters you played, were they almost completely out of your own heads, or did you research any real life individuals and base your characters on them?
Thanks again, Andy. The character was entirely out of my own head. I didn't research anybody specifically, anybody at all, actually, or base it on anybody. I just made her up in my head, and here we are.
Fantastic. Well done.
Yeah, me as well. My character was pretty much just my own invention, and more so in this film than any other film that I've done. And I only have a handful of feature films that I've been in, especially in large roles like this one. I've done a couple of other lead and strong supporting roles in other small films. But amongst all the roles that I've played so far, this one has definitely been the most unique and one of the most just purely, put this guy together out of my own imagination, especially with the backstory and the history that we created for the family, like Maria touched on earlier, where we were in a Facebook group, the four of us, the family members together, and we were coming up with all of our backstories that kind of explain, the history of the family. And we put that together. And that was a really fun exercise, just a really fun creative exercise, because we came up with this entire history of this family who are, semi-immortal. So, we had to go all the way back to the 1800s to the origins of how we invented how my character invented the serum, and how it was that the family fled England and wound up in America, and when it was that we decided that we needed to start disguising our accents so that people would be fooled into thinking that we were locals, and that we were all of that. That was a lot of fun, and it was a lot of we had a huge opportunity in this film to be really creative with these characters, because there's so much that David, our director, the writer of the film, allowed us to bring to it. He didn't give us his own notes on our motivations and our histories. Mm-hmm. He let us decide all of that for ourselves. And so we got to be really creative in the process, rather than just sticking like glue to the director's vision and nothing else. He allowed us to bring all kinds of our own toys to the party.
Yeah.
You did really well creating your own characters. With Maria, you played Irene, and I'll be honest with you, sometimes a couple of bits in the film, it was the kind of look, you freaked me out, and I was only watching it sometimes, just the kind of, you had a certain kind of look, you're expecting a knife to be pulled out from behind the back or something like that, it was really, really kind of intense. And Jeff, you had a kind of laid back English gentleman kind of, persona about you. That's what came over to, to me. If you just carried through life, obviously you did what you did, your wee sideline. But overall, you were just kind of laid back, and you just, go with the flow sort of thing. So is that the kind of images, were you happy with the images that came across and say, Maria, I don't get freaked out easy. In fact, I don't get
Not watching a movie, no.
But there's just a couple of times you turn around and just, I can't even do the look, just the Irene look, shall we call it, she's going to do something. Somebody's going to die or something, you know. I mean that in a good way, you know.
I totally get it. Don't worry. Yeah, I understand. Yeah, I'm aware that I have that capability of doing that on screen, and I consciously choose not to do that in real life because I'm aware of the effect it has on some people. So yeah.
Just imagine you at the supermarket or something, if you get charged the wrong amount, you know, and you give them that look, you probably get your shopping for free. You know, probably just take it and leave the store, please. You know, and that's it.
You'll need to teach me the look, Maria. If it's going to get your shopping free.
It's just a gathering and a focusing of emotion. That's all. Yeah. And you actually bring your concentration, intensity level down and focused, rather than being open and like fun, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, that's all it is.
Jeff, you, as I say, you're the kind of laid back attitude. Now I know you're a dog lover and you've got 4 cats as well. Yes. And your wife has to kind of keep you and in tune when you're not working. She kind of looks after you, makes sure you don't get into any trouble.
Somebody has
absolutely.
To. So is that the way you like the laid back kind of gent?
Sorry, what was that?
I am naturally
just laid back.
Laid back.
Is that the way you are in real life?
I am naturally. I would say I brought quite a bit of that part of my own personality to Dr. Crumb, because I am very laid back. I am very relaxed about things. I don't get, like Dr. Crumb, I don't get that upset about anything unless my status quo gets interrupted. We really see Dr. Crumb get really upset a couple of times in the film when his plans are interrupted by other people, by interlopers, and by family members who don't want to get with the program. I get a little ticked off in a couple of instances, and I take it out on people in creative ways, which is probably one of the most despicable things about Dr. Crumb is the depths of just depravity and evil he will sink to just to vent his frustrations when things don't go his way, when he doesn't get what he wants. And there's a couple of times in the movie where you see that, and I can say I'm very much the same way. I'm very easygoing. I just kind of take life as it comes. As long as things are going to plan, I'm pretty unperturbable. But when you screw up the program for me, I can get a little vindictive. So I think me and Dr. Crumb have that in common. Although I don't think I go to the lengths that Dr. Crumb goes to when I'm feeling vindictive. And I think the worst thing I do is leave the toilet seat up on purpose or something.
Sam's got a question for you. She's one of our team as well. Hi, Laura. Laura's one of our team as well. Both of them are in the chat. I've just seen their names. What's your favourite type of movie to appear in, and the reason why?
Thank you, Sam, for the question, by the way. We've discussed 2 of them, The Crumbs and I Spit on Your Grave, Deja Vu. Both of them have characters that are very emotionally complex and layered. And that's the kind of thing that I like playing. I like figuring out. I just prefer that to something that's very one-layered and, to me, intellectually and emotionally boring. So the more intellectually and emotionally stimulated and challenged I am, the more I will enjoy playing that character, even if it's just for one scene.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, that would be me.
What about you, Jeff?
And for myself, amongst the roles that I have played, unfortunately, I consider my strongest work as an actor and one of the strongest characters I've ever played is in a movie that was never completed, and I got to share some screen time with a couple of legendary actors, Bruce Dern and Peter Fonda, in a movie called Borderland that was never finished. But I got to play another really ruthless bad guy in that, and it was an incredible experience on set, getting to work with those guys and getting to play somebody who was really another ruthless and despicable guy, but another guy who had, incredibly strong motivation and incredibly just great writing in that script. Unfortunately, it wasn't. It died in post, as they say, because they pretty much blew all of their budget shooting the film, and then when it got to editing and putting in sound and special effects and all of that, they ran out of money, and then there were some internecine struggles and battles between producers and director and other creative forces that they finally decided to just pull the plug and shelve the project. So that one never got finished. But I would say that just the type of character that is, somebody who's got really strong motivation and great dialogue. Those are the kind of roles that I'm really interested in playing. Dr. Crumb had that. Another film that I did a few years ago called Black Mark. I got to play a lead in that film, and that's another strong character, great writing, and just that. But if the question was, when she asks what your favorite type of movie is to appear in terms of genre, I wouldn't be able to answer if that was the direction of her question. I think there are great roles to play in every genre, and there are great movies in every genre. I mean, I love horror. I love westerns. I love thrillers, romantic comedies. Any of the above, I would love to be in, but I do tend to play bad guys for some reason. The films that I've done, I've played a drug dealer, a pedophile, an abusive father and husband, a mad scientist. And all of these have been really fun, and as Maria was saying, really layered roles, really complex characters, and those are the fun ones to play. Those are the best, and they tend to be, the bad guys tend to be the interesting roles, and so genres. I couldn't give you a favorite, but I would love to do. I'm hoping to do a Western one day. I'm hoping to do a science fiction one day. I'd love to. Although I kind of did a science fiction in this one film where I played this one film, kind of this zany monster movie called Mega Shark versus Colossus. That was one of these, like, you've seen like the Sharknado movies, or at least you've heard of them, the Sharknado series of movies.
Yeah.
The same producers who did that film produced another series of films called Mega Shark, and I was in the fourth one of that franchise, and so that's kind of a sci-fi. But I would like to do like a straight up sci-fi one day. I'd love to do a straight up Western. I'd love to do more horror because it's a fun genre to work in. So all of those, all of the above.
So should always go with both your answers. You're playing the bad guy, the bad, bad balloon, whatever. Should we be worried if we ever meet you face to face on the street?
Absolutely not. I'll probably fall over my shoelaces or something like that, and I'll make you laugh before I do. I'll make you scared. That's just how I am in person.
Not unless I charge you wrong for your shopping, then I'm in trouble.
That's true.
Then I'm in trouble. Well, we've had David on. Carry on, Jeff. Before you go, sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, if you met me on the street, the greatest danger you would probably face is having me bore you to death.
Oh, no. Surely no.
But you play your character so well,
Yeah.
You're quite an intriguing character, but excuse me. As I say, we've had David on, we've had Craig in, we've had Matthew, he's actually now part of our USA team, Elizabeth, Dan and Shane, and they're all really, really nice, down-to-earth people.
Mm-hmm.
And as when and we speak to yourselves as well, you're also the same, that's when you realise just how much work goes into making a movie.
Yeah.
We all sit down and we'll watch a film for maybe the standard 90 minutes, whatever, and say, well, that was good, that was bad, whatever. But when you talk to people, obviously for them, like yourselves, you realise just how much goes in pre-production, post, for start to finish.
Yeah.
So, out of David, I'm going to kind of put you on the spot here, guys, so I do apologise. With David and Craig and that, and are they as nice to work with on set as they are in real life?
Absolutely. We drove up with Craig, for instance, and we had a wonderful, wonderful time. David was obviously, he was our director on set, so he was always obviously in a position of authority over us. So as much as I like David, I wasn't David's friend on set. I was working for David on set. It's a bit of a different relationship, different dynamic there. But I really enjoyed working under David as a director. Very, very intelligent, very smart. And that really does make a difference,
He is quite smart. So is Craig. David is. I've spoken to him a couple of times, and he really, you can see in him the creativity that he has in him. Dan and Shane as well. They're two brilliant. We've had them on twice, and Shane's now been moved partner in CRA, which is great. A question I need to ask you, now this came up when Dan and Shane were on the last time, and the girls had quite a wee bit of a joke out of it, at my expense. There's a photograph of the Crumbs. You're all in a room. See, Shelley knows what I'm going to say, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
And in the background there's a mirror, and in the mirror you can just see a partial figure standing in the mirror.
Nobody could quite work out what this figure was. It was like a figure, and nobody knew who this figure was.
Wait, I know. It's that guy that you saw on screen in The Mandalorian. He gets around.
Is that who?
That must have been the one.
Must have been him.
I think we've got...
I don't know if you've still got it.
Maybe I got a copy of it.
I don't know.
I would have to see the photo that we're speaking of.
Yeah.
Because, But
we were trying to work out if it was
just about Dave and.
We're just trying to find it.
No, you're
stepping
all
on.
when Dan and
Well, I
Shane
wanted
were
to
in
say
the last week,
what we were talking about earlier
Go ahead,
regarding Dan and Shane, and regarding Shane, Craig, and David. I've gotten to work with all of those guys twice now, because I'm also in their next upcoming film called Demon Fighter.
Mhm.
And both times, I I I just had a great experience working with Dave as a director. The cool thing about Dave is that he's also a teacher. He's an acting teacher,
Mhm.
and between takes, he's giving just really excellent notes. He's helping you with your character's motivation, and he's you know helping you pinpoint these moments that really bring the characters to life. So that was really a great, fun part about working for Dave
Mhm.
as an actor. Is every moment on set. I wasn't just working; I was learning the entire time as well. He's a really good acting teacher, and that was great working with him on that count. And Dan and Shane and Craig are all just real professionals at what they do, but they're also, like you were saying, they're just as
Genuinely
you
nice
observed,
people.
they're very
Yeah.
genuinely nice, down to earth,
Yeah.
fun guys to hang out with. There was never a dull moment on set behind the scenes. Everybody was having a great time pretty much throughout.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to give all of those guys their props, because working for
Yeah.
them, working with them, has been a highlight of my very humble career.
That's lovely. That really is. And actually, talking to Dan and Shane, they did feel the same. So it just seemed that he's all had such a great time, regardless of the fact he's were there working to try and make a film. He's had such a great time as well doing it. Just great people, really.
Yep.
Yeah. Of
Yeah.
course, we go through like extreme emotions as well.
Hmm.
Like I
Yeah.
have to pull the sadness to make me cry from somewhere. So for us, it's not all just let's go to set and have fun and games. It's let's go to set
Yeah.
and concentrate on being what we need to be and doing what we need to do.
Of course.
And as Jeff will know, I have issues with like the type of shoes I'm wearing and walking on uneven surfaces because my ankles twist
Mm.
and then I fall on my face, and we don't really want that to
It's
happen
like
too
me.
often. Yeah, it's like I fall over sunbeams and patterns in the carpet. Yeah. So that is an extra thing for me. And Jeff was so kind as to help me, like across the damn
Oh.
street, because it was made of stones and rocks, gravel, that's the word.
Yeah.
And to
Yeah.
be like, I need to hang on to your arm right now, Dr. Benjamin. Please just help me across. Thank you. So thank you, Jeff, again.
Absolutely, mother.
Uh-huh.
And it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows throughout the shoot either. I mean, there were some very difficult moments on set. I mean, there were some real conflicts that we had, interpersonal conflicts between people with their creative vision, and people who wanted to do one thing one way, or something else entirely, or get something done a different way. And there were a lot of conflicts on set, and there were a lot of butting of heads throughout the process as well. But nobody ever, and there were a couple of times when people blew their stack a little bit at each other. But there was, by the end of the day, there weren't any hard feelings. Everything was swept aside, and we finished the production as friends. But there were some conflicts here and there behind the scenes, and there were some very tough days of shooting, like we were talking about just before we started taping the episode. We had weather problems We had some personnel problems. We had a couple of issues where I think there was at least one time where an actor wasn't available on a certain day, and they went and recast one actor and switched her role with a different actress. If you remember,
Yes.
Maria,
Yeah.
the girl that the girl that played the model was not originally slated to play the model. She was slated to be one of the millennials, and the girl who was in the millennials was slated to be the model, but because she wasn't available one day, they had to flip flop that role. And there were a couple of other instances like that.
Nikki came in as well. I remember. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Nikki came in as well to substitute in for a missing actress.
Yes.
And she was brilliant. She was brilliant. Nikki was great. And I thought it was really great that she got the opportunity to get on camera, because I know that she, had that as an ambition.
There was that regrettable incident with Anton and the piece of wood and the camera. Yes. Our stills photographer. Our on-set stills photographer with
that was day
I think
one.
it was a brand new camera. Day one got a little bit too close to Leonard, to Anton, when Anton was trying out his 2x4, his wooden club or whatever the hell it was. He was swinging it, rehearsing, and wood hit camera. Camera came off second best.
Oh my!
Oh,
that was a lot.
Expensive camera.
Yeah.
And gosh, the last 2 days of filming, I remember the last 2 or 3 days of filming, I came down with this horrible cough. Remember when I was, I was like, I had to walk off set and walk like, I had to go like a quarter of a mile away so that I wouldn't be heard hacking my lungs out. Because they were trying to shoot another scene, and I could not stop coughing. I mean, if this was done in the time of COVID, they would have had to shut down the production and, wait for my tests to come back before they could resume production, because the cough that I was going through was so bad, and I was barely able to muster the vocal power to get through my lines for those last 2 days, because my throat was so baked after all of that coughing.
And it was me versus. Sorry.
Like we were talking about just before we started taping, the weather problems and some of the other holdups that happened in week one. And we had to jam a lot into week two once the weather cleared up, and once we really started getting things on track into a more of a well-oiled machine, because things weren't really a very well-oiled machine in week one due to some personnel problems and some weather problems that we had on set. And so that second week of filming was just done at a furious pace. And the fact that we got it all done, we got everything we needed, and we got such good results out of it. It was really surprising, and it's really gratifying to see that the film came out so well, and that it's become something of a little, cult sleeper.
It's good. No, carry on, Jeff. Sorry.
No, just that it's very gratifying to see that it's become a little a minor cult hit of
Yeah.
sorts. You know, it's we've gotten an audience. We've
Yeah.
found a niche, and we filled it, and it's really gratifying to hear from fans and to be invited on shows like this with you guys who are helping,
Absolutely.
you know,
Yeah.
put the word out and helping to get more eyeballs on this little movie.
Yeah.
So thank you.
It's a pleasure, you know, and we're sort of honoured to have both of you on. As you say, you have found a kind of glitch. I mean, I'll be perfectly honest. Before I watched the likes of the Crumbs and the Evil Down the Street, I never really watched many indie kind of films. You know, it was always the big Hollywood blockbusters that you watched, and then I happened to catch Evil Down the Street, and I watched it, and then the Crumbs. I thought, you know, it kind of opened my eyes because I've been into movies for decades, you know, and it was always the Hollywood stuff, as I say. But now, since I've seen the two films, I'm really looking forward to Demon Fighter when that's released as well.
Yeah.
It's certainly opened my eyes. I think it's opened Sarah's eyes as well to your industry, you know, your side of the movie business. And I don't think he's got enough recognition, you know, for the amount of work that he's actually put in. I don't mean any disrespect
It's tough to get the recognition.
You know,
it's tough for little films like this to get the recognition and to find any kind of attraction, any kind of traction, like even the small amount of traction that we've gotten is pretty extraordinary for such a micro budget underground indie such as this. Because this genre is hit and miss. I shouldn't say genre, but this category of film, that being micro budgeted, independent underground films, are so hit and miss that audiences aren't really willing to invest the time into something that, you know, doesn't have, you know, the Hollywood pedigree behind it. Because you can find a gem, a diamond in the rough, or a real lump of crap. Because a lot of micro budgeted underground indie films are just kind of crap. Sorry. But some of them, like I feel this one is one of those diamonds in the rough, and hopefully we've got another little diamond in the rough with Demon Fighter coming out. And I think CRA has figured out a formula for making that kind of movie on that kind of budget that works, and that hopefully people will start to recognize them. And give them more of a look when they see, you know, David Espinosa, Craig Arns, CRA. Hopefully they will earn their own pedigree, and people will start to recognize that, you know, these are little films, but they're quality. They've got something to them. They're worth watching, and hopefully we'll continue to get more traction and more audience, more eyeballs on these little independent gems.
And also you know, horror is a huge genre. It is pretty much the only genre that independent film companies operate in, because there's just so many people wanting to make smaller films, and horror is always the genre that they choose because it's easy. You know, you don't have to have a name. All you have to do is have a script and a couple of actors and a pint of fake blood, and you're made. You know, so the choices to watch in the indie film level, it's so wide. There are so many films, and you just hope that somehow the one that you made stands out a bit, you know, amongst the literally hundreds of thousands.
I totally understand what you mean. I mean, horror is my favourite kind of film. You know, I like a bit of blood and guts and people getting macheted and, you know, that kind of thing. Your everyday sort of basic horror. And it was actually the poster for Evil Down the Street that caught my eye, and I thought, you know, that looks quite interesting. I'm going to, and this is based on true events, and so that's what got me watching it, and got me. I really thoroughly enjoyed it, as I did the Crumbs. Quick question from Andy Murray. He's been waiting a wee while for us. Sorry, Andy, I just spotted it again, buddy. What's next for both of you, if you're allowed to say?
I am anxiously awaiting my latest commercial to come out because I was covered in makeup and a wig and had this amazing costume on. So I cannot wait to see it. And also, I shot a sequel to a very well-received indie horror feature in October. And I just got word this morning that we're going to be having a cast and crew screening next month. So I cannot wait to see that. I loved the first film in the franchise. Loved it, loved it, loved it. And I cannot wait to see the film that I'm in, the second one in the franchise. You'll notice I'm not saying what it is because I'm contractually obligated to shut my mouth. But hopefully I'll see it next month, and hopefully I can soon share more details about it.
Lovely.
Hopefully. What about you, Jeff? I know you're up and coming Demon Fighter was released. What's next in the list for yourself?
Yes. Demon Fighter will be coming up this year, some point. Not sure how far along they are in the post-production process of that film. I haven't heard any news lately, but that will be coming out in 2021, sometime in 2021. I'm shooting a commercial next week, actually. So, I mean, that's good. Nothing groundbreaking. One of those commercials you see from pharmaceutical industries talking about the latest medication for this or that ailment or malady, and I'll be getting paid to be on TV, which is always great.
Always good.
And as for anything else, I'm really hoping that we see a Crumbs 2.
Hopefully.
That would be that would be what's hopefully coming next for us, because I think that there's a lot of story left to tell for the Crumbs.
Yeah,
absolutely.
They left a good cliffhanger as well.
Yeah, a lot of reservations.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of reservations.
Yeah, there's
a lot of reservations.
There's so much. There's so much that we can mine out of these characters. There's so much backstory, and the history that we could tell, and the crazy circumstances and situations we could create for these guys.
The recipes that we can make. Yep.
Oh yeah, they yummy, tasty recipes.
Published, a Crumbs cookbook. Yes.
Exactly. We need the Crumbs cookbook, and I'm looking forward to pot pie next time, and maybe stroganoff.
Yes, absolutely.
I love stroganoff, so we can look forward to that.
Yes.
And the only thing is, what do we exactly put on the table for Thanksgiving? Because when you take the lid off the bird, it's a bird right there on the table. Mm-hmm. But what do we? I guess we've got to dress it up to look more like ham at our house.
Yes, we could do ham.
Yeah.
Anyway,
yes.
I'm sure
we'll
Mother
answer that question in the Crumbs too as well.
Yes, we can do ham both on and off screen.
Excellent. I really do think there should be a second one.
Definitely.
I've watched it 4 times, and
If not more.
Possibly more than 4. I will admit, but I'm not embarrassed to admit it. Brilliant film, and he's a great bunch of guys, and as I say, we've had David and everybody on, and it was great having you all on, because sometimes it lets us see the other side of you.
Yeah.
Away from Irene, away from for Benjamin. And let's just see. And this is what I was really not surprised at, but I was really happy when I first spoke to David and Craig on video call. Normal people, totally having a laugh, a joke, as everybody else. And I think it's important that people see that other side of you. You see that you are just, you're all accomplished in your own different fields. But at the end of the day, you've got a life away from the camera. You've got family, hobbies, whatever you're interested in. And just before I wind up, that was what I was going to ask you. How do you unwind, after you've spent so much time filming and staying in this kind of character? What do you do to let off steam when you go home, hobbies and stuff?
Actually, I think my hobby, if the scene wasn't cut, might have been on screen. I'm confession time. I haven't seen The Crumbs yet because I don't like watching myself on screen. But there was one scene where David made me knit, and I'm not sure if that's in the film or not. I hope it is. And that's what I do as a hobby. I knit blankets. This is a square of my next blanket that I'm making. Yeah. So, and here's another square. And then I sew them all together. And I watch things like movies and series while I knit my blankets and my scarves, which is a really fun, relaxing thing for me. Yeah. And I also knit what I learn lines, actually. My mind is occupied with the words I have to absorb, and my hands are occupied with this.
Brilliant.
What were you, Jeff? How do you relax apart from getting told what to do with your wife?
Well, I'm an avid chewing gum taste tester. Let me see. I enjoy breaking shoelaces, trying to tie my shoes and seeing how hard I can pull the knot before the shoelaces break. I spend a lot of time doing that. Pretty boring in my life outside of acting. I'm a limousine driver in Los Angeles, that keeps me somewhat busy, although the COVID shutdowns have really cut into my income insofar as my livelihood as a limo driver. I binge watch a lot of Netflix and Amazon Prime shows. It's a filthy habit. I'm also a recovering karaoke junkie. Haven't touched a karaoke mic in years, but I'd say I'm a pretty boring homebody, cat daddy, and I like to chill on the couch with the wife, and whenever we're not into the same show on Netflix or Amazon Prime or whatever, I will sometimes go down to the garage, get on my elliptical machine, and watch Cobra Kai as I pedal off a few miles on the elliptical. That to help keep me in shape and keep me abreast of what's going on in pop culture.
I'm glad you mentioned the karaoke, Jeff, because it almost slipped my mind. A little bug told me.
Oh, I remember this.
I'm not going to name any names.
Sorry?
Name begins GC, something like that. He's a nice guy, but he says you are both avid singers.
Cricket.
Avid, yes.
It says you're both quite good as
talented.
Just see what
I heard. I've been known, as I said, I've been known to rock a karaoke mic once or twice on a Tuesday evening. I don't know about.
Have it we all.
Are
I've been in like countless musicals.
Maria.
Yeah, no, I haven't been in that one. Sound of Music, Fiddler on the Roof, Joseph, Annie Warbucks, Grease, you name it. I have been in musicals, but that was way back in South Africa when I was starting out, shall we say. I hate singing karaoke because the songs are never in a key that I can actually handle them in, so I look really stupid. So I don't sing karaoke. But I do enjoy singing. I'm not saying I'm good at it. I'm just saying I enjoy it.
I'm quite glad that, this gentleman told me about it, because it gave me a wee, a little idea. And I thought, how awesome would it be if I could convince two very talented and professional, actor and actress to do a duet on our channel before they go off.
Anything you can do, I can do better. Do you know that one?
I can do anything better than you.
No, you can't.
No, you can't. Yes, I
No,
can.
you can't.
There's no rehearsal here happening. I mean, if you
Wing
wanted us to wow
You
you,
just wing it.
give us a moment
Just
to
straight
rehearse.
off the bat,
You got to tell us beforehand so that we can put a little something together.
But then, if I told
Otherwise,
you
we're
before,
just going to embarrass ourselves.
I've done that so often.
Maria, I think you did really well there, actually.
Okay, throw a song at us and we'll see what happens. We're taking requests.
Can't think.
no,
Now you're thinking.
Anybody in the chat, give us a. The sun will come out tomorrow.
Oh, Lord. The sun will come out tomorrow. Bet your bottom dollar that tomorrow there'll be sun. Just thinking about tomorrow. Clears away the cobwebs and the
Clears away
sorrow.
the cobwebs and the sorrow.
Till there's none.
There's none.
When you're stuck
When
with
I'm
a
stuck with
day.
that's gray.
That's gray.
And lonely.
Ow.
It's a little too
Gonna pick up my chin and grin and say, oh. Yes.
That is fantastic.
Thank you very much for that. That's a first for our channel. Having two professionals like yourself. I don't think anybody's ever sang in our channel. But you know what? I'm a happy and honoured man that I got used to do. I didn't think you would do it. I'll be honest. I didn't think you would do it, but
Thank you, Tony.
I think the only person that's tried to sing on our channel was you, and you've been.
I failed miserably. Cat caught in a hairdryer kind of thing, it wasn't nice. Wasn't nice. Thank you very much for that, folks. That was, I'm all happy that I'm over the moon.
Grinning like a cat.
So with that, we're going to wind it up. If I could just keep the two of you there for a wee minute or two after we come off, if that's all right. Thanks for coming in. Absolutely brilliant. To everybody in chat, hope you enjoyed tonight. Maria and Jeff from the movie The Crumbs. If you've not seen it, go to Amazon Prime. Just type in The Crumbs. Absolutely brilliant. You won't be disappointed. Really, brilliant film. We're back next Tuesday with your friends Anton and Chelsea. We have Anton and Chelsea coming in Tuesday.
Awesome.
So there'll be more about The Crumbs then, and I'm going to ask them about you two, just see if we get any wee secrets or anything. I might be able to sing.
Now, Chelsea's a good singer. Chelsea will
Excellent.
give you a song.
I'll make a note of that just now. What about Anton?
I don't know.
I don't know about Anton's vocal skills. Maybe ask him to give you a little bit of Nipsey Hussle or something. I think he could rap.
I'll just write. I'm actually writing this down before we come off.
All right.
I'll just tell them Jeff and Maria sang beautifully at the weekend, so they says he used to would do it as well. I'll tell a wee white lie, you know.
Thank you.
So thanks everybody for coming in. We hope you enjoyed tonight's live. Thanks very much, Maria and Jeff. Many, many thanks. And we'll see you all on Tuesday. So stay safe, everybody. Please do.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.